I think so.
Yay! It worked.
This is better than Zoom.
Much better. Much better.
Yes.
Okay. So we are planning to have a podcast together, and it's going to be called the Mini and Mighty Show. We're going to be talking myths, anti-bullshit shit, anti-bullshit shit. We're going to talk about things that we've changed our mind on, that we used to believe that we don't believe anymore, or that just change in mindset shifts. We're going to talk about controversial things. What else?
Oh, what else did we talk about? Different types of nutrition, like how trends have changed over the years and how your sports goals should be kind of in sync with your nutrition goals, because I think it's quite easy to see those two things as separate. And we were talking about how our sports have kind of changed over the years and how Ruby's goals are like a world away from the goals she had when we very first met. So how we structure our lifestyles and adapt things around that to kind of meet our new structure and our new goals, I guess.
And then we're going to go into mindset and non-negotiables and just how important it is to have anchor points in our life, like starting the day, ending the day, and pretty much just how important the mindset is when it comes not only to your performance in the gym, but also your nutrition and all different dimensions.
So you're talking on here. All right, you're back.
I don't
I
know
just
where
see you talking on Zoom on my screen, and then here you're frozen. Is it me frozen? Is it you frozen?
this is Australian internet is the worst internet in the world.
Oh no. Yeah, see, ours is super fast, but I haven't even had my coffee yet because it's really early here. Well, it's not that early now, but I haven't had breakfast yet.
Maybe the internet's vibing off your lack of coffee.
Maybe we need to pour espresso down the lines. I didn't catch what you said.
Oh, I was saying how, like, your social life, your work life, your fitness, your training, your diet, your relationships, like, they don't just exist in separate bubbles. They're all part of the same bubble. Like,
Right.
if you're lacking in one area, you'll find that the other areas start to lack as well. And a lot of the time, something I find with a lot of my clients is that, and I'm sure you can relate as well, like if you're just focusing on wanting to put the kids first or wanting to put the family first and you're neglecting yourself, you're still not going to make things click because they'll be watching you, they'll be vibing off you. If you are struggling to put yourself first and be your best self for the family because your cup's empty trying to fill theirs, it's like trying to pour water into their cups which have holes in it because they can't have their holes patched up until you are full and complete yourself. So I always say make sure that you're full of with so much goodness and so much water in your cup that it just overflows, not pouring it but overflowing into the other people's around you.
Yeah, that's a really nice analogy, especially with, kids model a lot off of you. So if you're grumpy, if you're, anxious, if you're stressed out about things, they're going to take that and take it into school or like behave in a certain way with their friends because they've seen you behave in a certain way with them and not realize why they are then, having problems with friendships or having problems with teachers or whatever else is going on. And additionally to that, I think there's also a lot to be said for assessing your emotional state on a daily basis. This is something that I like to do because you cannot go into, particularly if you're in, a competition prep, or, you've got something really important coming up and you're walking into a training session expecting to hit the numbers or whatever it is, hit as many miles as you need to that day, but your emotional state is not right because there's illness at home, or there's some kind of peripheral stress going on. Until you take that into account and maybe deal with it before you enter that training session, it's going to hit your training session. Then you're going to wonder why your performance isn't there. Then you're going to start to think, right, am I really good at this? What's going on? You're kind of looking at, maybe I'm not working hard enough, maybe I'm not eating right, but actually you haven't accounted for all the emotional stress that's going on. So in the same vein, how does that, or you may not be able to give to your family, but also how does your families and how does your workload and all the rest of those things affect your own performance? So it's that kind of vicious cycle, isn't it?
It all, like, that's the thing about it all interconnecting, and people don't realize your body is, well, your nervous system is one continual thing. Like, there's your brain. It doesn't end at your brain. It goes from your brain all the way down your spine, and the spine has nerves coming off it, and those spines innervate your muscles, they innervate your organs, they innervate your stomach. So if you're having poor gut health, poor digestion, you're having trouble, how people have incontinence and they just run to the bathroom, you're having trouble containing that, and you're always peeing all the time. Like, your stress state, it's all connected to every single thing that you do. And if you don't realize that your body is not just in a vacuum, everything impacts each other. So when people say that they're not getting results for one thing and then they try to cut down more food or do more work, that's stress on the body. That is more load going down the spine, innervating the muscles, innervating the stomach, and then you wonder why the hell shit doesn't stick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be that 360 approach. And I think, this has got so many different implications from it. People that go, do you know what? I don't sleep. I never sleep. And you're like, okay, well, what else are you doing to support your sleep and to support your recovery? And then you find out, well, actually, they take the phone to bed, or they watch TV in bed, or they are eating late at night, or they're always having a few drinks and maybe not having enough water, and they don't have a bedtime routine. That's one of my biggest things. I've been on about this for years, is sleep hygiene. And the amount of people that I've met who've said, well, I am, I'm an insomniac, I've tried everything, but they haven't been consistent with their sleep hygiene. It's the same with anything else. If you want to train for something, you want to get better at something, you have to practice it. And it doesn't matter if it's difficult and it doesn't work the first time, you have to practice it until it does work. You can't expect to go in the gym and deadlift, double body weight on your first attempt. You need to learn the technique, you need to learn the setup, you need to eat before you get there, you need to hydrate properly, you need to have intention, you need to have, firing patterns, all of these things. It's such a massive thing, but people don't apply. They seem to be able to apply that to a physical training skill. Maybe they do apply it to a nutrition thing, although a lot of people come at nutrition, I think, with the same kind of approach. Oh, it's just diet, I just need to eat less. They don't really approach it with this 360 thing. But recovery, all stress management, all of those things feed into it, and it is having that consistency and application across every part of your life and creating that structure and that intention in the approach, and then using your reflection skills to go, okay, so at the end of this week, what did I achieve? Did I manage to get to bed at the same time every night? Was that a win? Or did, even though I didn't sleep 3 nights out of 5, what were the things that I did do right? Instead of just going, well, I just don't sleep.
People are too quick to shoot themselves down, but they just don't build themselves up. That's another thing I talk about all the time. People focus so much on where they're struggling. They don't like boasting their wins. And if you boast your wins to yourself, it's not elaborate enough for it to be a positive feedback loop. And like you were saying about, you can't just double your body weight at the first go. That's just like when you look at climbing a ladder. Like, you can't start climbing a ladder from the top rung. And if, like, full 360 approach, if you're not addressing all of that stuff, and maybe you are trying to climb the ladder the right way, you still can't climb that ladder effectively enough or efficiently enough because you have all this baggage on you. You have to work on getting rid of the baggage first so that you can actually climb the ladder. And something that I've also studied in when I was studying the brain is there are two different sides of like forming a habit and getting success. There's the rest that allows the neurons to actually fire those same patterns and ingrain them. And then there's when you're actively really focused on something and you're creating those new neural patterns. There's creating them and then there's cementing them. You need to be able to have both sides of the pure rest and the other side of actually being focused. So you'll see how they feed each other. So if you're lacking the sleep, you'll be lacking the focus, and then you wonder why you can't ingrain any new habits and see any success.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just looking at the steps, isn't it, from A to the end goal. Because I think a lot of people will look at the beginning and then they'll look at the outcome goal and they'll forget the process steps in between. And the process steps are the bits that make it happen. That's why you should be enjoying those little daily structures and ticking off your achievements as you go, and actually, like you said, giving yourself credit for doing the steps that week. Okay, you might not have reached your outcome goal yet, but yes, you've done, say, 6 out of 10 process goals, which is great, which means next week you're that much closer to getting there.
Yeah. So what we're going to actually touch on when we introduce ourselves in the first one is how we first started, and we both competed on stage. We both had that, hey, look, there's that Z. We need to go from A to Z. Sometimes we may have realized, hey, there's all this process in between, but other times it's just, I want that Z. I need to get to that Z. I don't care about my health. I don't care about my libido. I don't care about my menstrual cycle. I don't care about all this shit. I just need that Z. But we also realized over our years of competing, our years of coaching and doing what we do, that our approaches probably weren't the best back then, which is why we care so much about what we do now, because we've used all those experiences. We've used the experiences of our clients along the way and our interactions with other coaches to be able to put out our message there that, hey, there's B, C, D, E, and the rest of the alphabet to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Ruby, I am going to have to go because I've got a client in about 5 minutes. But I'm glad we finally found something that will actually work. So we'll do it on Insta Live. I think that's a good one.
Yes, we will. And we can easily just book like the same time every week and do a chat.
I think that's a good one. Yeah.
We'll do that. And then you can send me the invite again and we'll get started on the Mini and Mighty Show episode.
Such a good title.
We're both mini, we're both mighty, and we destroy. You know how there's like the Des and the Troy and they destroy? The mini and they mini mighty destroy? Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go and get some breakfast before my client quickly, and I will speak to you. I'll message you a bit later on.
Don't forget your coffee.
Yes, I will. Bye.